Good to have you today. Good crowd, good day, wonderful opportunity to be here. And we have some exciting news when we read the Declaration of Independence today. And so let's begin with having a word of prayer, and then we're going to have the national anthem played, and then Jason's going to come and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would all stand, I would appreciate it. Father, we thank and praise you that we can come today. We need your mercy, your help, your guidance, your blessing in this great endeavor of separating ourselves in this state to come and be a place where business, where the freedom is there to enjoy each other. And please, dear Lord, just guide and lead us. As I study and look to my scripture, each time, Father, in the very front of my Bible is the words salvation, patience, contentment, wisdom, and understanding. We need all of those things today and in the future as we continue to try and serve our Lord and make this state a state that He can bless and use in a mighty way. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please remain standing and remove your caps. We're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A pleasant afternoon to one and all. Thank you, Jason. On behalf of the New Illinois State Organization, thank you all for being with us today here in person and online. I'm flat out honored to be surrounded by these true patriots. Larry Mulch, the Hancock County New Illinois Committee Chairman. Thank you for the thoughtful invitation as we embark on this honorable task. Jason McCoy, Secretary of the Adams County Committee, and a veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our great nation. Thanks to both of you for your service as well. The speakers today who will tell you more about why we are here. The Honorable Brad Halbrook, State Representative from Shelbyville, who's the chief sponsor of HR 101. Becky Barnes, the Secretary of the St. Clair County Committee. Ronnie Quinn, the founder of Reopen Adams County. Jeremy Williams, the chairman of the Shelby County Committee. Paul Durr, the chairman of the St. Clair County Committee. And last but not least, Gina Merritt, the chairman and co-founder of New Illinois, who will be reading the New Illinois Declaration of Independence from the state of Illinois. From our members who have been diligently supporting us since the beginning, as well as every new face that's here in the crowd today and watching online, we extend a warm welcome. On behalf of the new state of Illinois, I sincerely thank and acknowledge every one of you who extended help to us for making this event happen. Curtis Wilhite for the PA system, Jason Holford, Adams County Chairman, and also the video producer, along with Christian Sass, our live stream consultant. Committee officers, Contra Toy, Tony Kaler, and Greg Grunwald for assisting in the logistics today, and Hancock County Sheriff, Scott Benzinger, who was injured in a fall yesterday, who can't be here, but he's also a member of our committee, and he facilitated our ceremony here on the grounds of the historic Hancock County Courthouse here in Carthage, Illinois. I might add that this spot is where, in October of 1858, Abraham Lincoln addressed an enthusiastic audience while campaigning for senator. Trust us, all of this would have just been a dream if it were not for the immense support of these true patriots. Today, I'd like to begin by letting you know who we are, and why and how we came to be where we are today. New Illinois is a nonprofit organization that educates Illinois citizens about their right to pursue the creation of a new state from the state of Illinois. We are seeking a state split, following the process provided in the U.S. Constitution, Article 4, Section 3. This is the same way that West Virginia split from Virginia in 1863. New Illinois is a nonpartisan, educational nonprofit. We're addressing a long-standing divide in the state of Illinois. This divide is not between Democrats and Republicans. It is urban versus rural, small town, and suburban. We're two very different places, both culturally and economically. Legislation and policies addressing the needs and best interests of a major urban area like Chicago, Cook County, are not necessarily in the best interest of the rest of the state. My old friend, Bob Frank, former mayor of Warsaw, who passed away a year and a half ago, had a saying. Down the road from the state of Chicago, there's a whole other state. He spoke it for years, and he spoke it from the heart and with clarity, and he was 100% correct. The issues New Illinois focuses on are representative government, government corruption, and our state's fiscal catastrophe. The differences involved have made the state very difficult to endure for many. Those who founded New Illinois were talking about moving away. Like more than half the state's residents, they found that in Illinois the taxes were too high, the opportunities limited, and the government corruption outrageous. Then one day, the thought struck. Why should we have to leave? Our family and our roots are here. Why not stay and fight for our homes? It reminds me of the saying, and I paraphrase, all that is required for evil to succeed is for good men and women to stand by and do nothing. So in June 2018, New Illinois Incorporated was formed, a nonprofit organization with the mission of educating Illinoisans about their right under the U.S. Constitution to pursue the formation of a new state. Rather than moving away, let's leave Illinois without moving. Now, there have been efforts to split Illinois going back to the 1800s, but none of these have succeeded, possibly because the efforts were regional, not over the whole state. All of them preceded the internet, and some even the telephone. You can imagine the word of mouth that you get out now with the way we have as far as communications. In the very beginning, it was decided, rather than reinventing the wheel, let's learn from groups in other states who have been involved in similar movements. This effort brought us in contact with the founder of New California, Paul Preston. Paul has been an invaluable resource and a mentor to New Illinois. California is going under the same sort of a movement as we are. Since there is strength in numbers, we began reaching out to other organizations across the state who had common interests. In October of 2018, we held our first informational event in Decatur and have continued holding them throughout the state. We also began establishing county committees which carry out the mission of New Illinois on a local basis and will be creating an organizational infrastructure for a new state government. Earlier this year, New Illinois has committees forming in 57 counties out of Illinois' 102 counties. And so, I present to you New Illinois. Our vision is a state free from a tyrannical form of government, where residents will be able to experience a government representing their constitutional rights as guaranteed in Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution. New Illinois is not a part of any political party. Rather, it is an educational organization informing citizens about their right to seek the creation of the new state of Illinois. New Illinois is the only nonprofit organization working throughout the state to form a coalition with other groups and individuals seeking an Article 4, Section 3 state split with the mission of educating for New Illinois to become a new state of the United States of America. I got a message yesterday from my good friend and fellow secretary of our committee, Tony Kaler, who happens to be out in Philadelphia this weekend. He couldn't be here and he regrets that. He was in the airport and he just viewed a replica of the Liberty Bell. He sent Todd Cocoy, who also was on our committee, a quick message to let us know that the hair stood up on the back of his neck. As he thought of the history we would be making today here in Carthage, declaration of a new state to the United States of America. It's amazing. Representative government is guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution, but the current government in Illinois wields disproportional political power in favor of cronies, public sector unions, and urban areas, in particular Chicago and Cook County. This causes the rest of the state to experience a disproportionate lack of power. Further, the state of Illinois' legendary government corruption, fiscal mismanagement, and pay-to-play politics have adversely impacted residents in the rest of the state. Rural, small-town, and suburban citizens outside of the northeastern urban hub are out of luck. Illinois is experiencing a financial crisis brought on by this corruption. Our politicians have driven us down the road to insolvency, and they're unwilling or unable to stop and address the coming implosion. Illinois enjoys near junk bond status. In addition, Illinois is now a sanctuary state, putting it in opposition directly to Article 6, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution. This harms legal Illinois residents financially through competition for jobs and through $3.85 billion of extra annual costs for education, social services, and other expenses for illegal aliens. Chicago has introduced a new city ID for all of its residents. Citizens and non-citizens, legal and illegal. This ID has been declared valid for voter registration, meaning that the rest of Illinoisans will have the power of their votes further diluted. The state of Illinois has done nothing to stop this threat, standing up for its people. Illinois is a failed state and is not fulfilling its responsibilities to its citizens. We believe the situation is beyond reformation and will only be remedied through an Article 4, Section 3 state split provided for in the U.S. Constitution. The U.S. Declaration of Independence declares that people are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights and can alter or abolish a government destructive of those rights. The U.S. Declaration of Independence further states, and this is verbatim, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such a government and to provide new guards for their future security. Abuses, usurpations, despotism, words written by the framers of the Constitution to describe the exact instances we are experiencing now. I'm talking insurrection. Becoming a sanctuary state put Illinois in rebellion to the federal government and the U.S. Constitution, Article 6, Section 2. Incompetence. A failed state that does not provide its citizens with representative government. A corrupt state that works in the best interests of insiders. A lawless state that violates its own constitution by, 1, not having a balanced budget, and 2, not having compact legislative districts. Instead, extreme gerrymandering benefits those in power instead of the people. An oppressive state imposing high taxes but with the worst financial health of all 50 states. Insolvency. Illinois is in a fiscal state of financial crisis. $130 billion in debt, $75 billion in retiree health care debt, plus billions in unpaid bills. State government refuses to meaningfully address this issue, opting instead for window dressing, or, as is on the ballot in a few weeks, raise your taxes to keep on spending more. These factors make the case that our state has lost the right to governance because it has not fulfilled its side of the bargain. Any one of those factors could bring about a situation similar to what happened in West Virginia in 1861. Those words written by our forefathers over 240 years ago challenge, they demand of us not only is it our right, it is our duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for our future security. We realize this is not going to be an easy road to go down, and we navigate it successfully only with your support and dedication towards our goal. After today, by declaring our independence from the state of Illinois, and in the coming months, we will hear more and more about our cause as we move ahead as New Illinois. Lastly, without taking any more of your time, I want to welcome the Honorable Brad Halbrook, State Representative from Shelbyville, to introduce himself to you, as well as elaborate on the core details of HR 101. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm going to say what he said. Ditto that. Thank you for that. Haven't that awesome? Let's give him a nice warm hand. What a great looking group today. It's great to be here. It's been a while since I've been in Hancock County, but it's great to be back. The history of this county and of this place and of today's proceedings is just second to none. I would like to thank Ms. Merritt and all those at New Illinois that have worked on this event to organize it, put it together. What a momentous effort and occasion this is to do that today. What I'd like to talk to you today about is this idea of separation that will ultimately lead to the creation of a new state. As been mentioned by our MC, I am the chief sponsor of HR 101 that was introduced in February 7, 2019. It's a resolution that urges Congress to create a new state by separating Illinois from Chicago. Let me ask you a question. How many of you think it would be a good idea to separate from Chicago? A common question I get is, can this really happen? The short answer is yes. It's happened 4 times in the history of the United States. Vermont from New York in 1790, Kentucky from Virginia in 1792, Maine from Massachusetts in 1820, and West Virginia from Virginia in 1863. Another thing I hear is that downstate can't survive without Chicago. However, I think the appropriate response is we cannot survive with them. And then there's all this conjecture about what would a new Illinois look like? What would its economy be like?
How good or bad shape would we be in? Earlier this year, a Pew Research report was released that showed that Illinois underperformed every state in the union except one in wage and earning growth, personal income growth. The naysayers often tout that Illinois would be like Kentucky, Missouri, or Indiana. However, after reading this report, I think we'll take that deal. Every state but one is outperforming Illinois in personal income growth. Also, I'm asked, what is the issue that's driving this idea of separation? Is it about the attacks on the Second Amendment, the attacks on life? Is it about the sanctuary state, the minimum wage, the legalizing of marijuana, state mandates to schools and local units of government and business? Is it the property taxes that seem out of control? Is it the debt, the unfunded pension liability? What is the main issue? This past spring, we saw bills being introduced into the Illinois General Assembly that mandated gas station attendants, mandated HPV vaccinations, increased levels of insurance for FOID card holders, along with things like banning plastic straws and gas-powered leaf blowers. So my answer is, it's kind of all of these things and more. However, these are all symptoms of the real driving issue, that it is a lack of fair and equal representation. The U.S. Constitution, Article 4, Section 4, guarantees us a small r Republican form of government. That says the United States shall guarantee to every state in the Union a Republican form of government and shall protect each of these against invasion. Downstate Illinois voices just are simply not being heard. We're being drowned out because a large group of legislators come from such a small geographical area in the northeast corner of the state. So I'd like to bring people up to speed of kind of how we got here, what's led us to this point, the point where we have one-party supermajorities in both chambers and all of the constitutional offices are held by the same party. I believe it's due to a series of events that's happened in the nation and in our state over the last 50 years that have forced us into a democracy. A democracy is where 3 coyotes and a lamb decide what's for lunch. It's not going to work out very well for the lamb. Right now, we have the technology to allow for a popular vote or a democracy vote via phone app. Let's say the question is, should we give everyone in the state of Illinois $10,000? What do you think the answer is going to be? Well, that's why democracy won't work. Alexander Hamilton hated democracy because it was, at the time, known as a horrendous form of government. This is why, technically, America is run as a constitutional republic. Through the ideals of a democracy are still held as important to the people of the nation. He went on to say, give all the power to many, they will oppress the few. Give all the power to a few, they will oppress the many. A little historical perspective on the Illinois General Assembly shows that it kind of remained unchanged from 1870 until 1964, 3 reps, state reps for every state senator. Then in 1964, a U.S. Supreme Court decision, Reynolds versus Sims, changed the way our districts were apportioned. The 14th Amendment was applied in this case that basically says that representatives in both houses of a state's bicameral legislature must be by population. However, the reasoning was somewhat flawed by the dissenting opinion. The significance of Reynolds versus Sims has been enshrined in one person, one vote. The Chief Justice Warren's 8-1 decision, majority opinion here, went on to say, legislators represent people, not trees or acres. Legislators are elected by voters, not farms or cities or economic interests. As long as ours is a representative form of government, and our legislatures are those instruments of governments elected directly by and direct representatives of the people, the right to elect legislators in a free and unimpaired fashion is a bedrock of our political system. However, the dissenting opinion by Justice Harlan says that the 14th Amendment does not allow this court to impose the equal protection rule in state elections. The history of the Equal Protection Clause has nothing to do with the state's choice in how to apportion their legislators. He argued that the decision enforced a political ideology that was not clearly described anywhere in the U.S. Constitution. Justice Harlan argued that the majority had ignored the legislative history of the 14th Amendment. Despite claims of importance of equality, the language and history of the 14th Amendment should suggest it's not to prevent states from developing individual democratic processes. Illinois had not drawn a map since the early 1950s. The South was Democrat, the North was Republican, and the central part of the state was a balance between the two. However, a new map was drawn in the early 50s to allow for some population growth in the North. However, this map was not a Reynolds versus Sims compliant map. So in 64, a bedsheet ballot was drawn, 239 plus or minus candidates on the ballot was elected at large or voted on at large, and the top 177 vote getters were elected. A new map or redistricting plan was drawn up and agreed to in 1966. Then in 1982, the Illinois Cutback Amendment passed. And then in 1983, Representative Mike Madigan was elected Speaker of the House, where he has been all of the years since then except for 2. Today, the current General Assembly is 74 Dems, 44 Republicans in the House, 59 members in the Senate, 40 of them are Democrats, 19 are Republicans. The majority of these legislators come from a rather small geographical area in the northeast corner of the state. I and others believe that these factors have consolidated power into a few hands and has placed us into a position that we now find ourselves in the position of a tyrannical government. So the next question is, are we a permanent one-party state? Why do we even have a bicameral system? Is this what our founding fathers had envisioned? What we need is a little federal system. We need to adopt in Illinois what is being done at the national level. At the federal or national level, our congressmen and women are elected by population, roughly 750,000 people. However, every state in the union, regardless of population, gets 2 U.S. senators. So in Illinois, let's elect representatives by population, roughly 110,000 people, but let's give every county 1 state senator. All right, with that said, where do we go next? Separation is a multi-step process, and it's going to take years, not weeks or months. My previous speaker talk about New Illinois and its status, but here's what is really, really important under Article 4, Section 3. New states may be admitted to Congress into this union, but no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor any state be formed by the jurisdiction of 2 or more states or parts of states without the consent of the legislatures of the United States and as well as Congress. The first step is a local organization. Currently, there are over 20 counties that are fully ratified and organized. We have well over 2 or 3 dozen more on the horizon that are coming together. Your attendance in the past and today is vital to the success of this movement. Without local grassroots, this effort will fail. Counties must organize, and New Illinois has the platform to do that. Second, and this is really important to today, after a certain number of counties have been organized, independence will be declared. That's what we're here to do today. The third step in this process is grievances against Old Illinois will be written, published, and read aloud. Step 4, constitutional conventions will convene and be held to create and draft a new constitution. 5th is the Illinois General Assembly approval, and 6th is congressional approval. In conclusion, thanks to all of you for coming out today. Let's build a wall around Cook County and get Chicago to pay for it. God bless you, God bless Illinois, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Halbrook. Awesome. And now, I'd like to introduce Becky Barnes, Secretary of the St. Clair County Committee, with a reading from Thomas Jefferson's last letter in which he talks about the Declaration of Independence.
Thank you, Joe. I'm reading this today on behalf of my daughter, Paige, who could not be here today. She is the youngest New Illinois member. In 1826, a celebration was planned in Washington, D.C. to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Thomas Jefferson wrote to Roger Waitman, declining the invitation to attend. This was the last letter written by Jefferson, who died 10 days later on July 4th, 1826. Jefferson was pleased to receive the invitation as one of the last surviving signers of the document that had so much impact on the world. He said that he would have enjoyed celebrating with this remnant the fact that after a half a century of experience and prosperity, their fellow citizens continued to approve the choice. In the following excerpt from the letter, Jefferson expresses his thoughts about the Declaration. And may it be to the world what I believe it will be, to some parts sooner, to others later, but finally to all, the signal of arousing men to burst the chains under which mawkish, arrogant ignorance and superstition had persuaded them to bind themselves and to assume the blessings and security of self-government. That form which we have substituted restores the free right to the unbounded exercise of reason and freedom of opinion. All eyes are opened or opening to the rights of man. The general spread of the light of science has already laid open to every view the palpable truth, that the mass of mankind has not been born with saddles on their backs, nor a favored few booted and spurred, ready to ride them legitimately by the grace of God. These are grounds of hope for others. For ourselves, let the annual return of this day forever refresh our recollections of these rights and an undiminished devotion to them.
Thank you, Becky. Isn't it amazing how the forefathers knew exactly what they had to write down to make our country what it is today, and it still holds true. And next up, I would like to introduce Ronnie Quinn, the founder of Reopen Adams County.
Hello, everyone. How are you? How excited about this movement are you? I'm glad to hear that. So I am Ronnie Quinn, and I started a movement over in Adams County called Reopen Adams County. And it was in direct opposition to a tyrannical government who seems to think that the entire state should be held by the same standard as Chicago, and that's just not the case. Our businesses are suffering, our citizens are suffering, and I like to introduce myself as the nobody who became the somebody who stood up for everybody. And I say that because I'm not a prominent member of my community. I'm not somebody that was well known when this started. I just got tired of seeing what was happening in my county, and I stood up. Some of the work that we have done back in March and April and May when they started to shut down our businesses statewide, we got out there and we rebelled against it. We got attorneys and we got letters and we went to our state's attorney and we went to our mayor, et cetera, and we started standing up for our businesses. And then those businesses started to stand up for themselves. And it has grown since then. There's approximately 8,000 members in my group, and they are a wonderful group standing up against the tyranny that's being handed down from Chicago on a daily basis. So I currently have 2 lawsuits against Governor Pritzker. I don't know if anybody's aware of those. One, I've caught a lot of flack for that, but you know what? Somebody's got to do it, right? And that's my message to all of you. You're here for a reason. Take your message, what you believe in, and go out into your communities and spread that message. Be that one person that the rest of the community can look to for the support, to speak their mind. But the 2 lawsuits that I have, one is actually for the mask mandates in our school systems, and the other one is a disaster lawsuit claiming that by definition, under the Emergency Management Act, my county does not meet that definition, and we should not be declared a disaster. If we win that lawsuit, I mean, that gives no bearing to anything that comes down in the state. It's just another reaffirmation on top of the Darren Bailey case. Are we aware of that case? Yes. I have that same attorney. He's fighting for you. He's fighting for the state. So we're going to continue our work. They thought they were going to cancel our 4th of July celebration. We had one anyway. And we just continue to stand up. I mean, it's the 4th of July. It's the independence of our nation. You do not, under any circumstance, shut that down, ever. You have to stand up for it at all costs. Because like others before me have said, it's not only our right, it's our duty. We have to get out there and we have to stand up in larger numbers than ever before, and I think that's why the New Illinois movement is growing. There's a need for it, there's a want for it, and if there's anything that I can ask for you guys is to just speak. Go out into your communities, talk about it at the dinner table. I know politics at the dinner table aren't the greatest thing, but do it. We are in the fight of our lives right now, and we have to continue to stand up against the tyranny that's coming out of Chicago. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ronnie. And as she said, one person, that's all it takes. Stand up for what you think is right. And next up, I have Jeremy Williams, the chairman of the Shelby County Committee. Jeremy made the trip up as many of our folks did from Southern Illinois. They've got like a 3-hour, 3.5-hour drive to get back home. So let's welcome them and make them feel at home here in Carthage.
How could I not feel at home among such like-minded people? Well, yesterday at 10 a.m. when Gina called and said, "Will you speak?" I said yes. So, first of all, I want to say, I stand before you today as the highest-ranking member of the political party in America. I'm a tax-paying voting citizen. Whenever someone runs for any office, they move down. They take a demotion to serve the people, not the other way around. New Illinois presents a ship turned upright, sailing seamlessly, leaving behind a scuttled wreckage long bereft of any seemly quality. It brings forth a new opportunity for a government designed to serve the people. For far too long, the people of Illinois have been victims of an irresponsible legislature, and more recently, a tyrannical governor who views himself not as a public servant, but instead as a king. New Illinois will build into its structure and into its future a government consisting of we, the people. In New Illinois, we conceive the restoration of a republic, if we can keep it. The days of democracy, where the will of the majority rules absolute, shall end. And the era of republic, a concept dear to our founding fathers, where the rights of the minority are protected, shall long endure. But it shall only endure if, as John F. Kennedy said, we be watchmen on the walls of freedom. Neither the fanatic nor the faint-hearted are needed, but only those who truly desire to govern as they would wish to be governed. New Illinois offers we the people the opportunity to start anew and take our governance into our own hands. One aspect of the state of lordship we leave that we must under no circumstances allow to follow with us is that of a ruling class. Government must consist of representatives of the people, not those who have no intentions of returning to the citizenry and instead desire to remain in office for a lifetime. Ever cognizant of the immense shadow our founding fathers' great and timeless deeds cast upon our present work, we will now walk where they have walked. We will grow a people, a place, and a presence. We shall be the people of New Illinois, so fully aware of from where we've come that we have every desire to see ourselves move prosperously into a future we shall carve out for ourselves and in our own best interests. We will take a land of arid leadership and infuse into it a fertility of great thinkers and awesome deed doers. New Illinois brings a glowing presence of economics, agriculture, natural resources, beauty, and a hard-working stubbornness that would be the envy of any state that wishes to launch itself into a new beginning. Today, the founders of New Illinois have created a birthday of a free and independent New Illinois. October 17th will be for New Illinois as July 4th is for Today is our Independence Day. And just like the brave men who charged the redcoats, wrote a Constitution full of foresight, and defended that nation both here at home and on foreign battlefields, we must remember they believed so resolutely in their cause that many made the ultimate sacrifice and were willing to fight, in some cases brother against brother, in order to secure the blessings of liberty. The people of New Illinois run headlong into the fray because we do not live in fear, nor will we continue to rest in complacency. May we never forget what it is to be free, for we are only ever one generation away from losing our freedom. Freedom is a precious commodity, bought with the valor, courage, and blood of those to whom it is more precious than life itself. As much as we don't want to hear it, we the people are responsible for Illinois' current situation. Guarantee you the governor made that happen. We have been inactive for far too long. Our apathy has led to atrophy. And with the founding deeds of our great nation not being seen as the steady rocks upon which this country is built, they are now more perceived as legend and myth, unattainable today. The lack of education and appreciation has left us weak. But now, going forward, New Illinois will offer the rest of our great nation another people who pick themselves up to right their ship and take back their lives. You've heard it said that in order to change government, we must change who we send there. I tell you that the first step in building a better world is to listen to the better angels of our nature. The hearts and minds of the people must be changed first. Today, we demonstrate the change that has taken place within us. Today, we tear ourselves away from lordship, tyranny, and oppression. Today, we observe a new birth of freedom. Today is our Independence Day. New Illinoisans will hold close to their hearts and forever in their minds what Ronald Reagan said about freedom. Freedom is a fragile thing and is never more than one generation away from extinction. It is not ours by inheritance. It must be fought for and defended constantly by each generation, for it comes only once to a people. Those who have known freedom and then lost it have never known it again. Let us never forget what we do here today. It is incumbent upon we, the builders and partakers of a new Illinois, to long remember this day and forever dearly hold its significance in our hearts and in our minds. Our founding fathers left us with an enormous task: to preserve for ourselves and our posterity a freedom unlike any other found on earth. A beacon of hope shining brightly to the entire world, America stands tall and strong, having been founded on principles that are dear to all Americans. The task of creating a new Illinois to take its place among the several states, not being as daunting or as mammoth a cause as the total work of our founding fathers, but vitally important nonetheless, leads me to close with a quote from Tennyson. "Though much is taken, much abides. And though we are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield." Thank you, and may God bless us all.
Thank you, Jeremy. What an awesome job to put out into words what we're here to do today. And next up, the chairman of the St. Clair County Committee, Paul Durer, who's going to have a reading of affirmation of allegiance to the United States of America and justification for the formation of the state of New Illinois.
As you said, hello folks, my name is Paul Durer. I'm with St. Clair County organization. I was one amongst the original ratified to become part of this movement and been with the organization for pretty much since the beginning now. I believe in the Constitution, I believe in my country, and I believe in using the Constitution and the powers within it for exactly what we're trying to do here today, is to fight oppression and tyranny and try to hold our republic strong. So with that, I want to definitely read the affirmation of allegiance to the United States of America, because I love this country, and the justification for the formation of the state of Illinois, New Illinois. This October 17, 2020, with faith, diligence, and our sacred honor, we do hereby declare our unity with natural law and the United States of America's Constitution. We stand firm in our pledge to maintain and support the freedoms of the people of our nation and New Illinois at all times, at home and abroad. With God as our witness, honoring the foundational principles, we take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion to stand together as free citizens of New Illinois, to be a sovereign state of that nation that we hold dear, the United States of America. As we seek to remain a member of our union in order to form a more perfect union, we resolve to create the free, sovereign, and independent state of New Illinois due to the past and current government of Illinois having failed in their oath of office, their obligations and responsibilities as representatives of we the people, to provide a Republican form of government as guaranteed by Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you for serving on the New Illinois State Committee from the beginning. And now, without further ado, we have G.H. Merritt, the chairman and the co-founder of New Illinois. Gina is going to read the New Illinois Declaration of Independence from the state of Illinois.
Hi. Before reading, is that good? Before reading the Declaration, there's a couple of things that need to be mentioned. Some have been touched on a bit. First, you will find a lot of the words of our Declaration to be very familiar. That's because our committee used the U.S. Declaration of Independence as a template. Second, the U.S. Declaration contains 27 grievances against the king. 244 years later, with a more complex society and a much bigger government, we have a much longer list. So instead of having our declaration be the size of an encyclopedia, in the near future, we're going to begin publishing grievances against the state of Illinois. Third, it's important to note, and this may be hard for many people to believe, but this is not about any political party, and it's not about Governor Pritzker. It's about representative government. The idea of a separate state representing rural and small-town Illinois goes back generations, long before Governor Pritzker was born. The contemporary movement for the formation of a new state began during the Rauner administration. In his February 19th state budget address, Governor Pritzker said the following, and I quote, "Trying to separate Chicago from the rest of Illinois, whether rhetorically or literally, will not solve the economic challenges of downstate Illinois. Quite the opposite. So some of you need to stop pretending that one part of Illinois can exist without all the others. We are one Illinois. Respectfully, we don't agree. Respectfully, we are not pretending. We are two states. The Declaration of Independence, the intention to form the state of New Illinois, October 17th, 2020. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, they should declare the causes which compel them to separate. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such manner that is most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly, all experience has shown mankind is more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms of governance to which they are accustomed. However, there has been a long train of abuses and acts to seize and hold the people's power without legal authority. When such efforts clearly demonstrate a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new protections for their future security. The history of the present governor, other recent governors, and the government of the state of Illinois is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having the direct objective of establishing a tyranny over the counties of New Illinois and the state of Illinois. Governments do not have rights. Rather, they are given delegated powers. Their power to rule comes from the consent of the governed. The sacred trust of the government is to secure the unalienable rights of the citizens. The government of the state of Illinois has become destructive of these ends by violating the people's unalienable rights and by ceasing to derive their powers from the consent of the governed. It is the right of the people to seek a constitutional remedy to the abuse of powers. The people of New Illinois are invoking the founding principles of the United States of America and reclaiming their liberty. We, the people of the counties of New Illinois, solemnly publish and declare that these counties are, and of right ought to be, a free and independent state, that we strive to be free from the state of Illinois, and that as a free and independent state, have full power to establish and maintain law and order, to promote general prosperity, and to do all other acts and enable all other measures which any state in the Union may rightfully do. We, therefore, the representatives of the counties of New Illinois, appeal to the General Assembly and the United States Congress to pass resolutions to create the state of New Illinois, and for the support of this declaration with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Thank you, Gina. Folks, we have witnessed history here today, and I thank everyone who presented today, and I thank all of you for traveling near and far to come to Carthage and witness this. Please have a safe trip home. Take care, be careful on the way home. God bless you, and God bless America.